Look at that! Perfect shot!
A luxury SUV suddenly swerved toward a puddle at the edge of the road. The driver grinned. Beside him, his glamorous girlfriend lifted her phone and started recording. A second later, muddy water exploded into the air, completely drenching a woman who was walking alone on the sidewalk. The girlfriend burst into laughter. The driver laughed too, because the woman covered in mud wasn't a stranger to him. She was the ex-wife he had cheated on, discarded, and thrown away after she helped him build his company from nothing. As stunned pedestrians watched, the humiliated woman simply wiped the mud from her face and quietly walked away. Neither the ex-husband nor his girlfriend noticed that several people nearby had witnessed everything. And none of them recognized the quiet woman they had just humiliated. What they also didn't know was that within 48 hours, that cruel moment would threaten the $10 billion business deal he desperately needed to save his collapsing company. Why did the woman refuse to fight back? What secret about her new life didn't her ex-husband know? And how could one muddy puddle destroy everything he had spent years building? If you enjoy dramatic stories of betrayal and justice, don't forget to subscribe to Black Voices Louder, because this story is only getting started. The woman standing on the sidewalk was 36-year-old Renata Cross. Mud dripped from her hair onto the cream-colored blouse she had worn to a charity luncheon only an hour earlier. Yet despite the humiliation, Renata neither shouted nor cried. She simply took a slow breath, picked up the leather folder she had dropped, and continued walking. Several pedestrians stared in disbelief. "Are you okay?" an elderly woman asked. Renata forced a small smile. "I'll be fine. Thank you." She kept walking. 3 years earlier, such cruelty would have shattered her. Not anymore. Renata had learned painful lessons. Years ago, she and Marcus Doyle had been the city's favorite success story. Together, they had built Doyle Cross Construction from a tiny rented office into one of the region's fastest-growing companies. When banks rejected Marcus's first business loan, Renata had mortgaged jewelry inherited from her grandmother to provide the startup capital. She handled clients, negotiated land purchases, prepared contracts, and often slept on the office couch during difficult projects. Back then, Marcus proudly told everyone, without Renata, there wouldn't be a company. But wealth changed him. As money poured in, Marcus purchased a sprawling hillside estate, collected luxury cars, and joined exclusive private clubs. Success fed his ego. Then he met Vivian Pierce. Vivian came from a wealthy family and loved attention almost as much as she loved expensive jewelry. Social media had turned her into a minor lifestyle influencer. Private jets, designer handbags, and luxury vacations filled her pages. Marcus became obsessed. At first, the affair was hidden behind late-night meetings and business trips. Renata noticed subtle changes long before she discovered the truth. Marcus stopped inviting her to events. He criticized her appearance. Family dinners disappeared. Still, Renata fought for their marriage. She suggested counseling. "No," Marcus said coldly. "I'm too busy fixing real problems." Months later, Renata discovered hotel receipts, messages, and photographs. The betrayal broke her. Yet what truly destroyed their marriage happened during the divorce. Marcus looked directly at her and said, "You were useful when I was broke. I've outgrown you." Those words haunted Renata for years. Heartbroken, she left town and moved to a quiet mountain community in Colorado, determined to rebuild her life. She had no idea that leaving would become the greatest blessing she had ever received. Her new home gave Renata something her old life never could: peace. Shortly after moving there, she began volunteering with a nonprofit that restored historic ranch properties damaged by wildfires. The work was hard, but it helped heal her broken heart. That was where she first met Julian Hale. Unlike the wealthy men Marcus admired, Julian never arrived with bodyguards or tried to impress anyone. The first time Renata saw him, he was repairing a broken fence alongside other volunteers, wearing worn jeans and work gloves. For months, she knew him simply as Julian, a kind man who listened, a man who remembered small details, a man who showed up. Only later did she learn that Julian owned Hale Holdings, one of the largest luxury real estate investment companies in the country, with projects stretching across several states. Years earlier, Julian had lost his first wife to a sudden illness. The tragedy had pushed him away from public life. Determined to protect his family from constant media attention, he kept his private life fiercely guarded. Their friendship slowly became love. 2 years later, they quietly married at Julian's mountain estate with only close family and trusted friends present. Very few people knew that Renata had become Mrs. Renata Hale. Back home, Marcus certainly didn't. As Renata entered the lobby of a prestigious downtown hotel, still covered in mud, several guests stared. Before she could reach the elevators, a sharply dressed driver hurried inside. "Mrs. Hale," he said respectfully. "Mr. Hale asked me to bring you home immediately." Several guests exchanged surprised looks. Renata nodded. "Thank you, Desmond." As they walked toward the waiting black car, neither Renata nor Desmond noticed a hotel guest quietly taking a picture. Meanwhile, across town, Marcus and Vivian were celebrating. Marcus's company was facing severe financial trouble. Years of reckless expansion and expensive spending had pushed Doyle Cross Construction close to collapse. His only hope was securing a $10 billion luxury resort contract. The final signing meeting was only 2 days away. Confident that victory was guaranteed, Marcus raised a glass. "After this deal closes," he boasted, "we'll be unstoppable." Vivian laughed. Then she uploaded the video of Renata being splashed with mud, adding the caption, "Some people just can't move on. Stay classy." Within hours, the video exploded online, but not in the way Vivian expected. Thousands of comments flooded in. "Who treats another human being like this? That poor woman did nothing wrong. Disgusting behavior." By midnight, the video had already been viewed more than 3 million times. And somewhere high in the Colorado mountains, one particular viewer had just seen it. High in the mountains, Julian Hale sat alone in his private study overlooking snow-covered peaks when his executive assistant sent him a message. "Sir, you need to see this." Attached was the viral video. Julian pressed play. His expression darkened instantly. He watched as a luxury SUV deliberately swerved toward the roadside puddle. He saw a muddy water crash over Renata. He heard the laughter. Then he watched his wife quietly walk away without saying a single word. Julian immediately called downstairs. Minutes later, Renata entered the study wearing fresh clothes. "You saw it," she said softly. Julian nodded. "Why didn't you tell me?" Renata lowered her eyes. "I didn't want this becoming something bigger. I spent years letting Marcus control my emotions. I refused to give him that power anymore." Julian walked over and gently held her hands. "He may not have your emotions anymore," Julian said quietly, "but actions still have consequences." The next morning, Julian instructed his legal and corporate teams to conduct a full review of Doyle Cross Construction. What they discovered shocked even them. Years of reckless spending had pushed Marcus's company to the brink. Several loans were already overdue. The company had quietly laid off workers. Suppliers were complaining about delayed payments. Most importantly, Doyle Cross Construction was one of 3 finalists competing for the $10 billion luxury resort contract, the very project being financed by Hale Holdings. Julian remained silent for several moments after hearing the report. Then he said calmly, "Prepare everything for the final signing meeting." Across town, Marcus remained completely unaware. Sitting inside his glass executive office overlooking the city, he confidently addressed his senior staff. "This contract is ours," Marcus declared. "Once we sign, every financial problem disappears." One executive hesitated. "Sir, the online backlash is getting worse. Several business reporters have contacted us regarding the video." Marcus waved dismissively. "It's internet nonsense. People will forget by next week." But people weren't forgetting. News outlets had started identifying Marcus as the man in the viral clip. Investors began quietly questioning his judgment. Several board members privately expressed concern. Even Vivian seemed uneasy. "Maybe we should delete the video," she suggested during dinner. Marcus shook his head. Relax. In 48 hours, we'll be celebrating a $10 billion deal. Neither of them knew that the man funding that deal had already made his decision. And in just 2 days, Marcus would walk into a boardroom expecting the greatest victory of his career. Instead, he would face the most devastating humiliation of his life. The grand ballroom of a downtown resort buzzed with anticipation. Executives, bankers, attorneys, and investors filled the luxurious conference hall, all gathered for the final signing of the $10 billion resort project. Marcus Doyle walked into the room wearing a custom-tailored suit, confidence written across his face. Today, he believed, would save everything. His company's financial troubles would disappear. The overdue loans would be paid. His reputation would be restored. Beside him, Vivian adjusted her designer dress and whispered, "I told you everything would work out." Marcus smiled. "I've already won." Several executives exchanged uneasy glances, but nobody said anything. Moments later, the chairman stepped onto the stage. "Ladies and gentlemen, before we proceed with the final contract signing, our principal investor would like to address everyone personally." The room immediately fell silent. The massive doors opened. A tall man entered. Every investor in the room stood. Marcus's confident smile vanished. It was Julian Hale, the billionaire owner of Hale Holdings, the man financing the entire project. Marcus quickly forced a smile and stepped forward. "Mr. Hale, it's an honor." Julian raised a hand, stopping him. "Before discussing business, I'd like everyone to watch a brief video." Confused murmurs spread across the room. The giant projection screen illuminated. Marcus froze. It was the viral video. Everyone watched in complete silence as Marcus deliberately drove through the muddy puddle, drenching a woman walking peacefully along the sidewalk while Vivian laughed and recorded the entire incident. When the video ended, the room was deathly quiet. Marcus's face turned pale. Vivian looked ready to faint. Julian finally spoke. "The woman in this video is my wife." Gasps echoed throughout the ballroom. Marcus stumbled backward. "No, that's impossible." Julian calmly continued. 3 years ago, Renata rebuilt her life after being betrayed by someone she trusted. Unlike some people, she chose dignity over revenge. At that exact moment, the ballroom doors opened again. Renata entered, elegant, graceful, and composed. Every eye turned toward her. Marcus could barely speak. "Renata, you're married to him?" Renata simply nodded. Tears filled Marcus's eyes. "Please, I'm sorry. I made a terrible mistake." Julian's voice remained calm. "A misunderstanding is accidental. What you did was intentional." He looked around the room. Hale Holdings invests in people, not simply companies. Character matters. Then came the final blow. Doyle Cross Construction is officially removed from consideration. The contract was immediately awarded to a respected family-owned construction company known for treating employees and clients with integrity. Within weeks, banks withdrew emergency financing from Doyle Cross Construction. Business partners walked away. The board removed Marcus as CEO. Eventually, he lost control of the company he had once proudly called his empire. Vivian quietly ended their relationship shortly afterward. Months later, Marcus unexpectedly encountered Renata during a charity fundraiser in Colorado. For the first time in years, he sincerely apologized. Renata looked at him gently. "You didn't lose everything because of one puddle, Marcus," she said softly. "You lost it the moment you stopped valuing people." As Renata walked away beside Julian, Marcus finally understood a painful truth. Success built on arrogance never lasts. The moral of this story is simple. Never humiliate, betray, or look down on others, because you never know what battles they have survived, who they may become, or how quickly life can reverse your fortunes. Character will always matter more than wealth, status, or power. The way you treat people when you think they cannot help you reveals who you truly are. If this story moved you, let us know in the comments what you would have done in Renata's place, and subscribe to Black Voices Louder for more stories of betrayal, justice, and redemption.